out with these aliens.
I'm told we got time for 2 more questions. I want to get a question from a woman, because we haven't had many. You don't qualify. You, it's right there.
Once you got picked up, how did you were able to break the rules of the network and change your creativity and change your business?
Yeah, sure.
Did everybody hear that question? No. The question was that it shifted tones a little to Mighty Mouse, and the question was, you know, that was a revolutionary show for television animation, but after it got picked up, how were you able to subvert the rules and create the show that you want to create? And that speaks to also to these films. Just talk a little bit about how you deal with execs and how you're able to break the rules constantly, whereas so many other people can't.
Especially television.
Well, what you do is not listen to them. They would send me notes on the script, what to change or what was dangerous. I throw them in the basket. In other words, you don't listen. You say yeah on the phone. You say, that's a great idea. And you throw it away. The one thing about these execs are they hate what they do. They hate animation. They're not looking at the films. They're not going to check. They know they did their job for that day or that week, and they go away. You know what I'm saying? By the time they catch up to you, you're #1 rated show. What are they going to do then? You know, so you just don't listen to them. You don't cower. You know, those are my friends in Washington again. You don't. You play the game. You yes them to death. You rewrite the stuff. Look, I got my head handed to me. I'm talking big now. It's the end of my life. I made it. You guys are still looking at my movies, and I didn't think that would happen. But you know, when they caught up to me, they beat the hell out of me. I walked out of Hollywood beaten up and tired and burnt out. But I knew that was going to happen. I just wanted to make these films. And I handed in scripts on Cookskin. When they went back to the studio, I totally rewrote them. What they thought they were buying, they weren't buying. I used any trick I could to make the films I wanted, because I didn't care. In other words, what are you going to do? And I knew I was right. There's another thing working. The artist has the right to make his movie. See, behind all of this, I grew up into every generation is different. In my generation, it was Pollock and Miles Davis and de Kooning. I grew up in the 40s and 50s when art was not a big money-making thing. And the only reason you did it was because you were proud of what you did and you did your thing. That was very important. So I wanted to do my thing. They gave me the money. I was going to do my thing. So I came from that milieu. So I was really helping them as far as I was concerned. I was making a better movie. And that was my take on it. I wasn't doing anything underhanded. I was sticking up for my rights as an artist. And they weren't artists. So some of the stuff they told me to do, you wouldn't believe how stupid it is. It's mind-boggling where they come up with this stuff. So I'm not showing off. I'm just saying they caught me, they beat me up, they sued me, they tore my films up. But I took those blows. You have to sometimes if you want to get something done in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Today is different. You know, guys can make 5, 10 grand a week in Pixar. I don't know what would happen to me if I come into the business today. You know, those companies are huge and do unbelievable things. Mind-boggling computer animation. You know, I like to animate the blues. I'll stay right there. You know, at home, the computer saved my life. It should save your life. I mean, heavy traffic today, which costs about $1 million in my day, it costs about $150,000 to $200,000 today in my house on my computer. Plus, last days in Coney Island, which we got $170,000 for from Kickstarter. For 5 minutes, it's now 20 minutes long. Wow. And we're still working with the same money. But nothing is lost. All the colored lines, all the live action, all the shadows under the feet. I get more. Last days of Coney Island looks better than any film I ever made. And I'm doing it in my library, next to my studio. One editor. As opposed to 150 people. It's crazy. So the computer is really sensational. If you know how to use it, you know.
One more question. Somebody got a question?
speak? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There was one thing I didn't. I've seen the movie like many people here several times. And there's one thing I didn't understand or quite wrap my head around was with the mafia family. There's this sort of fantasy element with like these like the fairies and these sort of demons, and then the mother, of course, when she's killed, she turns into this fairy. And then what is that story like? I mean, I kind of, if you could spell it out for me a bit more, I wouldn't mind.
That's a hard one. I don't really know. I kind of saw them all as a sick joke, not from this planet. I'm very much into Goya, at least then. And a lot of the Goya's caricatures of witches and goats came to mind, with bloated people. So they all remind me of that stuff Goya used to paint and draw very much. So it all came into play. I don't know who they are, so I didn't hang with them. So I wasn't sure what I wouldn't know that much about. You know, the Italian guys in me in Brooklyn never got along. I wasn't sure who they were, so I kind of went into that fantasy element. Because who are these people who's playing on everybody? You know what I'm saying? So that's about as close as I could explain to it. Little harlequins and guys running around with no heads in the subway. But I figured they in there. I'm not sure. That's about as close as I can.
Thank you.
Like had something to do with the Godfather, and you know, I always wondered about that, like why you felt such hostility towards him.
Well, I don't like it. It was a great movie. I
Yeah.
mean, the cop was a brilliant director, but I don't think these guys should be heroes. You know, I don't think the mafia that I grew up with weren't heroes. Goodfellas comes closer to the truth. So I wasn't buying the film on that level, but it was brilliantly made.
Yeah.
I was making fun of the guy.
Right.
Yeah, right in my producer's face.
Well, when you were in Brownsville, you're saying that you had experience with the mafia.
Yes.
And that's reflected perhaps in Cookskin. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
They probably get it harder. The mafia gets it harder than anybody almost.
Well, they deserve to, yeah. I'm still alive.
I'm told we got to wrap up, but I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to us.
Seated while Ralph has a chance to exit the theater, and the merchandise table is out that door, and the line will come in through the theater. So everyone who's exiting and is not visiting the merchandise table can just exit through this exit over here.
Oh man, you got me on video. So here on BNR TV, we're the effervescent, the ever-present, the effervescent, the effervescent. I don't know where it is. Where are they? I can't do this. Yes, all right, here we go. Here on BNR TV, we just saw Ralph Bakshi. We're going to visit the merchandise table, probably say what's up to him. I got some stuff I brought with me. But you have it here on BNR TV, Ralph Bakshi at BAM. We just saw Cookskin, we saw Ralph, we learned some things about him. And we'll see you here on BNR TV next time, another time here on BNR TV. Oh, what was that? Shoot the screen so I can get out of this shot.